Good evening. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Hard Times. I'm your host, 13 o'clock news anchorman, Reid Page. Our focus tonight, the economy, friend or foe. Millions of Americans have lost billions as we prepare to spend trillions to get the nation back on track. But as Franklin Roosevelt once said, we have nothing to fear but financial panic and recession, spiraling into a worldwide manic depression, and of course mob rule. Tonight, we'll hear from a distinguished panel of pundits representing the true cross-section of America. From street-level bums to blue-blooded barons of industry. You'll meet Portsmouth hobo Gangrene Willie, representing thousands of American hobos who heard Barack Obama's call for change and staggered to the polls, thinking he meant more nickels, dimes, and quarters. Also with us tonight is noted TV millionaire Thurston Howell III, sharing his advice on how to remain oblivious to the nation's economic meltdown. And a man who once roamed the globe critiquing the world's finest restaurants as the host of I Love Caviar, he's now forced to make a living reviewing Big Macs, ramen noodles, and corn dogs. The Dismayed Gourmet is in the studio tonight. Plus, he overcame poverty and a freakishly disgusting dental deformity to charm the nation with his homespun wisdom. We are privileged to welcome the American redneck savant, Mr. Billy Buck Teefus. And finally, we'll introduce semi-retired mafia hitman Frankie Goldchains, now trying to make ends meet as an abrasive yet colorful media pundit. But first, breaking news on the economy. Beloved Happy Days character Potsy has lost his life savings in what police are calling a full-blown Hollywood Fonzie scheme. Authorities say Henry Winkler, a.k.a. Arthur Fonzarelli, used his roguish charm to con his victims, often deflecting questions about their investments by simply flashing the thumbs up and assuring them that everything was cool. In local news, times are so tough that the Portsmouth City Council has voted to slash $82 million of pork from the $83 million budget. City Manager John Bohenko said he also plans to auction both the USS Albacore and the historic John Paul Jones House on eBay. To help the plight of local business, the council has agreed to let people tap directly into their 401k accounts to feed downtown parking meters. Also under consideration is a plan to convert one section of historic Strawberry Bank into a low-income housing tenement and another into steeply priced bundles of authentic colonial American firewood. This just in from our Pakistan Bureau. The economic meltdown that has ravaged America has also hammered the finances of our terrorist foes. Al-Qaeda International reported a 21% drop in revenue for the fourth quarter of fiscal 08, but senior executives assure shareholders they remain committed to their hostile takeover of humanity. 13 o'clock news has learned that high-ranking Al-Qaeda honcho Ayman al-Zawahiri has issued a fatwa against Bernie Madoff after losing a bundle in the investment bureau's $50 billion Ponzi scheme. The biggest blow to Al-Qaeda's profits was slower than expected sales of its anti-American video game system, Sunni PlayStation. The Terror Consortium's 2009 product line also includes co-ed naked suicide bomber t-shirts, Martyrs Do It in the Afterlife hoodies, and an Allah action figure with Kung Fu grip. Despite difficulty filling entry-level suicide bomber positions, Al-Qaeda is denying reports that its business model of blowing up innocent women and children may be hurting its bottom line. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our first panelist, a man from the lowest rung of the economic ladder and one of the community's leading voices for change, noted Portsmouth hobo, Gangrene Willie.
I've been looking for change every day for as long as I can remember. Everybody I know needs change. Blood clots Washington, Wheezy Marlboro, tuberculosis Einstein. So when this Mr. Obama started talking about change, I said, yes, we can. I tell you, I may not look like I earn less than $250,000 a year, but appearances can be deceiving. So, under Obama's plan, I figured I'd be in line for, I don't know, 75 cents? $1.50 maybe? Come on, Obama. Hobo guts to get paid. I tell you, thank you, ma'am. You're too kind. It's hard times out here on the street. I mean, Uncle Sam's nickel and diming us. Cardboard housing market collapsed. Regular's up over $3 a bottle. I'm not usually a political kind of guy. And matter of fact, my father was a Boxcar Willie Republican, but I decided to vote for this socialist Hussein fellow, even though that pretty lady from Alaska told me he was palling around with terrorists. I usually don't trust politicians at all, and I'm not much of a troublemaker myself, but I don't know. I've been talking to my friend Train Tracks McGillicuddy, and he's saying us hobos ought to go on strike, you know? Refuse to urinate in public until Obama takes action. But I'm not that kind of guy. I'd rather just...
Right here.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's about enough out of me. Our next panelist is Mr. Thurston Howell III. Now, this guy's a millionaire, but he knows what it's like to be homeless. I remember one day he dropped a $20 bill in my can. I got marooned out of my freaking coconut that day. So, let's put up a big hobo howl for Thurston Howell III. Oh, I'm gonna go get shipwrecked.
This economic meltdown has been absolutely brutal. I dare say we upper crusters were counting on that tiresome John McCain to beat this insufferable Obama in the election. I dare say I'll miss President Bush's tax breaks for the wealthiest 1%. I suppose it's good to have a new skipper at the helm, but I fear Mr. Obama's mumbo-jumbo about windmills and solar power could cost me billions in oil revenue. And for those of us reaping ungodly pharmaceutical profits, Mr. Obama's pledge to reform healthcare promises to be a real pain in the assets. Our eloquent young whippersnapper may talk like a movie star and think like the professor, but egad, man, the SS America has run aground in the lagoon. I prefer a rich, cranky old Navy man like John McCain. After all, we both share the misery of spending years stranded in some god-forsaken hellhole being tormented by tedious companions. But I do hope now, our little economic tidal wave has not been kind to our next panelist. When I owned Caviar Aficionado magazine, he burnished his reputation as one of America's leading gourmet food critics. But when I sold the magazine, I was aghast to see the new owners gut our fine publication and reintroduce it as a fast food tabloid called Eater's Digest. Now the poor chap barely ekes out a living reviewing such distasteful cuisine as Whoppers and Chalupas. From beef Wellington to beef jerky, oh how the mighty have fallen. I give you the Dismayed Gourmet.
Well, thank you for rubbing it in, Mr. Howell.